Before we begin today's session, I want you to think, not just listen. I am going to ask you three questions. Just raise your hand or call it out. Question one: has anyone here ever worked really hard on a task, but deep down you didn't believe it would make a difference? Question 2: have you ever given your best performance at work or in a school only to get nothing in return? No grade, no bonus, no recognition. Question 3: has a reward ever been offered to you that you simply did not care about? Interesting, isn't it? Almost every hand went up at least once, and here's the truth. In all three those three questions uh, those three questions, even highly capable hardworking people shut down. Their motivation collapse. So the question becomes, what exactly drives a person to decide consciously or not whether to try at all? That is the exact question a brilliant psychologist named Victor Vroom sat down to answer in 1964, and the result was one of the most powerful and widely applied motivation theories in organizational psychology, expectancy theory. By the end of the session, you will not only understand this theory, you will be able to use it to diagnose motivational problems in real teams, design better reward systems, and understand why people around you do or don't give their best. Learning objectives of this session: understand the historical context and background of the Vroom's expectancy theory, define and explain the three core components: expectancy, instrumentality, and the valence, apply the motivational formula to the real world scenario, critically evaluate the strengths and the limitations of the theory, derive the managerial and leadership applications. Let's understand the background and the context. Who is Victor Vroom? Let's begin with the man behind the theory. Victor Harold Vroom was born in the Montreal, Canada in 1932. He earned his PhD in psychology from the University of the Michigan, one of the leading centers for the organizational research in the world at that time. He went on to become a professor of organizational psychology and management at the Yale School of Management, where he spent the majority of his distinguished career. Vrooms published his seminal work simply titled "The Work and Motivation" in 1964. The book was the foundation of expectancy theory, and it changed how organizations and the managers think about the employee motivation. The motivational landscape before Vroom. To appreciate what Vrooms contributed, we need to briefly understand what came before him. In the early and the mid 20th century, motivation theories focused primarily on the content of motivation, meaning they asked what are the internal needs or drives that motivates people. Abraham Maslow proposed that the human beings are motivated by the hierarchy of needs, from the basic psychological survival needs at the bottom to safety, love, esteem, and finally self-actualization at the top. You satisfy lower needs before pursuing higher ones. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, 1943. Friedrich Herzberg distinguished between the hygiene factors, things that the prevent dissatisfaction like salary and the work conditions, and the motivators, things that create the genuine satisfaction like achievements before the recognition and responsibilities. Herzberg two factor theory, 1959. Douglas McGregor proposed two opposing assumptions. As the assumptions managers make the about the workers. Theory X assumes people are lazy and need control. Theory Y assumes people are the self-driven and thrive with autonomy. McGregor's theory X and the theory Y, 1960. These are the powerful frameworks, but Vroom's noticed a critical gap. All of them focused on what motivates people. people the content, but none of them fully explain the process, how a person decides how much efforts to put in, and at any moment in any given situation. Vroom argued that the motivation is not just about having the needs. It's about the rational calculation. People weigh their options, assess the probabilities, and choose the behavior that maximizes their expected outcome. This place rooms in the tradition of the process theories of motivation, theories that explains the cognitive process behind the motivation. Key insights: Room's expectancy theory is a process theory and not a content theory. It does not tell us what people want. It tells us how people decide whether to try or not. The three core components, the building blocks of expectancy theory. Vroom's theory is built on three interlocking components. Each one represents a different link in the chain of motivation. If any link breaks, the whole chain fails. Let's walk through the each one carefully. Component one: expectancy. Can I actually do this? Expectancy is defined as the individual belief that certain level of efforts will lead to a certain level of performance. In other words, if I try hard, will I succeed? This is fundamentally a question of self-efficiency and pursued ability. It's not about whether you are capable. It is about whether you believe you are capable. Perception is everything here. Expectancy is measured on a scale from 0 to 1. 0 means the person believes no amount of efforts will lead to a success. There is no hope. 1 means a person is absolutely certain that efforts will translate to the desired performance. Most real situations falls somewhere in between. Factors that affect the expectancy: have I succeeded at similar tasks before? Previous success builds expectancy. Failure erodes it. Past experiences. Do I have the knowledge, training and tools to perform well? Do I know exactly what good performance looks like? Work goals reduces the expectancy. Do I have what I need: time, material, managerial support to actually perform. Independent skills. Does the person believes in themselves? Consider a student preparing for a final exam. If she has attended every lecture, studied regularly, and passed practice tests, her expectancy is likely high. She believes her effort will pay off. But if she missed most classes, feels confused about the material, and has never passed a practice test, her expectancy is low. Even if she studies for 10 hours, she doesn't believe it will make a difference. So she may not even try. Component 2: instrumentality. Will my performance actually be rewarded? Instrumentality is the belief that if you perform well, you will receive the expected outcome or reward. It is the perceived connections between performance and reward. Even if a person believes they can perform well, they need to also believe that the good performance will lead to something worthwhile. This is about the trust in the system. Instrumentality is also measured from 0 to 1. 0 means a person believes good performance will not lead to any reward. There is no link. 1 means the person is absolutely certain that high performance guarantees the reward. Factors that affecting the instrument: there are the criteria for earning a bonus, promotion, or a grade clearly communicated. Transparency, transparency or the reward system. Has the organization or managers followed through followed through on a commitments in the past? If the promotion seems to depend on a personal relationship rather than merit or the instrumentality plummets. Are rewards given consistently, or do they seem random and unpredictable? Does the employee trust their managers or the institutions? Imagine a salesperson who is told hit your quarterly target and you will receive a 15% bonus. The first quarter they hit the target, the bonus arrives on time, instrumentality is strong. Now imagine in the second quarter they hit the target again, but the bonus is delayed for the 3 months with no explanation. By the third quarter, even if they believe they can hit the target, they no longer believe doing so will guarantee the bonus. Instrumentality has been damaged, efforts drop. This is one of the most critical lessons for the managers. Breaking the promises doesn't just lose one reward, it permanently reduces the employee's willingness to perform for the future reward. Component 3, Valence. Do I actually want this reward? Valence refers to the emotional value, attractiveness, or the importance that an individual places on the expected outcome or the reward. Simply put, how much do you actually want what's being offered? Valence can be positive, negative, or zero. Positive valence means the person desires the outcomes they wanted. Zero valence means the person is indifferent, they neither want nor reject it. Negative valence means the person actively does not want the outcome, it is undesirable to them. There is where Vroom's theory becomes deeply personal. What motivates one person may completely demotivate another. Examples of Valence in action: a high performing employee is offered a promotion, but it requires the relocating internationally. If they have family, they don't want to uproot. The Valence of that reward may be negative. A company offers a cash bonus, but to a young employee who values work-life balance more than the money, the bonus has low balance. They would rather have a flexible schedule. A student works towards a praise from a professor, but if their peers would mock them for being the teacher's pet, the balance of that recognition is a negative. Intrinsic versus extrinsic balance. It's worth noting that rewards can be intrinsic, internal like pride, satisfaction, or a sense of purpose, or extrinsic, external like the salary, bonuses, or titles. Both can have the high balances. It entirely depends on the individuals. This is why great managers and the educators take the time to understand what each individuals on their teams actually value. You cannot assume what works for one person may fall completely flat to another. The formula and the multiplication effect. Putting it all together, the formula. Now that we understand each component individually, let's bring them together into the Vroom's central formula. Motivation is equal to expectancy multiplied by instrumentality multiplied by the valences. This is the this is the heart of the expectancy theory. The motivation is not the sum of these three variables. It is their product, and that distinction is everything. Why multiplication matters? The zero rule. When we multiply, any factor of zero wipes out the entire result. Let me illustrate. Imagine an employee with expectancy is 0.9. High confidence they can perform. Instrumentality is 0.8. Strong trust in the reward system. While answer 0, they don't care about the reward at all. Motivation is equal to 0.9 multiplied by 0.8 multiplied by 0. The result is 0. Despite the high ability and the fair system, zero motivation because the reward is meaningless to that individual. Or imagine expectancy is 0, the employee doesn't believe they can succeed. Instrumentality is 1 and the balance is 1. Motivation is equal to 0 multiplied by 1 multiplied by 1 is the result is also 0. Even if the reward is guaranteed and highly valued, the person won't try because they don't believe they can perform. Hopelessness kills motivation even when everything else is in place. When diagnosing low motivation, don't assume the problem. Ask, is the issue expectancy? Can they do it? Instrumentality, do they trust the system? Or balance, do they want the reward? Each requires completely a different situations. A real world case study, the Priya and the promotion. Let me introduce to you Priya. She is 28 years old, a junior analyst at the mid-sized consulting firm. She is smart, ambitious, and has been with the company for the 3 years. Her manager calls her in one afternoon and says, Priya, we want you to lead the new client project. It's high stake and complex, but if you deliver successfully, you will be considered for the senior analyst promotion. Let's evaluate the Priya's promotion using the Vroom's model. Scenario A: high motivation, expectancy. Priya has successfully led two smaller internal projects in the past. Her technical skills are solid, and she has a supportive team. She thinks this is challenging, but I have done the similar work with preparation. I can deliver. Expectancy is for zero point 0.8. Instrumentality. Two of Priya's colleagues led the major project last year and were both promoted within 6 months. Her manager is known for keeping his word. Priya thinks, if I perform well here, the promotion is real. Instrumentality is 0.85. Valence. Priya has been wanting this title for 2 years. A senior analyst role means the more autonomy, a salary increase, and the respect from peers. Valence 0.9. Motivation 0. Is equal to expectancy 0.8 multiplied by instrumentality 0.85 multiplied by the Valence 0.9. The result is 0.612. That strong sustained motivation. Priya throws herself into the project with energy and commitment. Then the second scenario B, low motivation. Now let's change one variable. Suppose the same Priya has heard through the office grapevine that the promotion have been cancelled 3 times in the past 2 years due to the budget constraint. She has been hardworking colleague get passed over despite excellent performance. Instrumentality drops to 0.2. The motivation is equal to 0.8 multiplied by 0.2, the revised instrumentality, and the Valence 0.9. The result is 0.144, near 0. Even though Priya is capable and values the promotion deeply, she doesn't believe the system will follow through. She does the minimum required and invests her real energy elsewhere. This is not laziness, this is the rational decision maker. Vroom was right. Third scenario, student's version. Let's make this immediate. Consider a student preparing for a difficult exam. Expectancy is low. I have failed this subject twice before. I don't think more studying will help. Instrumentality is moderate. Suppose if I pass, I will get credit. Valence is I really do want to graduate. Motivation is equal to expectancy 0.2 multiplied by the instrumentality 0.6 multiplied by the Valence is 0.9 is equal to the result is 0.108, very low. The student may study half-heartedly or give up entirely, not from laziness but because the expectancy has collapsed. As an educator, your job is to rebuild their expectancy, break the material into manageable steps, give them managerial steps, give early wins, celebrate progress, show them they can do it, and suddenly motivation returns. Strengths, criticisms, and comparison. The critical evaluations of the theory. As with any major theory, we must evaluate it not just with admiration but with the critical rigor. Let's examine both what makes expectancy theory exceptional and where it falls short. Strength. Expectancy theory allows the managers to identify exactly which link in the motivation chain has broken. This is practically invaluable. It tells you not just that the someone is demotivated but why. By incorporating the valences, the theory acknowledges that the different people are motivated by different things. It avoids the trap of one size fits all reward system. It explains the cognitive process behind the motivation rather than just categorizing needs, making it highly applicable in dynamic real world setting. The theory has been validated across the numerous organizational contexts and remains a cornerstone of management education decades after its publication. Each component gives the managers a clear lever to pull. Train people to build expectancy, be transparent to build instrumentality, and personalize the reward to maximize the balances, criticism, and the limitations. Vroom's model assumes that the people make the motivation decisions through the conscious rational calculations, but the human behavior is often driven by the habits, emotions, unconscious biases, and the social norms, not pure logic. How do you really quantify expectancy or the valence? These are the subjective internal perceptions. Managers cannot easily measure them, making the formula difficult to apply precisely in collectivist culture. Individual motivation may be less relevant than the group motivation and the social harmony. The theory rooted in Western individualism may not be universally applied. The theory does not fully account for how past conditions, conditioning, habits, or deeply ingrained beliefs shape motivation beyond rational calculations. Motivation level change constantly. What a person values today may differ next month. The model captures the movement, not a dynamic process over the time. Comparison with the other theories. How does the Rome's theory relates to other we know? Maslow tells us what people need at the different stages of life. Room tells us how they decide whether to pursue those needs at work. Asberg identifies which job factors satisfy the motivators versus dissatisfy the hygiene. Rooms explains the mental calculus a person uses before acting. Both are needed for a full picture. Equity theory focuses on the fairness perception relative to others. Room focuses on the personal cost benefit analysis. They complement each other. Versus Adams versus Adams equity theory. Managerial applications. Applying the expectancy theory in the real world. Theory without the application is incomplete. Let's translate the Vroom's framework into the concrete practical strategies for the managers, educators, and the leaders. Strategies to boost the expectancy. Ensures the employees have the skills and the knowledge required to perform well. Skill gaps directly kill the expectancy. Provide them proper training. Goals that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and the time bound. Help the employees clearly see a path from the effort to success. Set the smart goals for your employees. Assign the initial tasks that are challenging but achievable. Early success build confidence, and set the positive expectancy pattern gives early wins. Regular feedback helps the employees understand what they are doing right and where to improve. Continuous calibrating their expectancy. Coaching and mentoring. Sometimes expectancy is low not because of the lack of ability but because of the insufficient resources, unclear processes, or organizational bottlenecks. Clear those away, removes obstacles from it. Strategies to boost the instrumentality. Clearly communicate what behaviors and outcomes will lead to what rewards. Leave with no ambiguity. Be transparent about rewards. Once you link performance to a reward, never break that link without explanation. Trust is fragile and hard to rebuild. Keep every promise. Performance reviews, bonus structures, and the promotion criteria should be fair, consistent, and the merit based, not political. Create consistent system. When someone performs well, visibly connect it to their reward so the entire team sees that the link is real. Acknowledge the performance publicly. Strategies to boost the balances. Have one-on-one conversation to understand what each team member values most. Don't assume people. Get know your people. Different people value different things. Flexible hours, public recognition, professional development, financial bonuses, or the titles offers a variety. Offer them the menu of rewards. When employees see how organizational success connect to what they personally care about. Valences amplifies align the individual goals with the organizational goals. When people help set their own targets and rewards, the valence of the achieving those goals is naturally higher. Involves people or the employees in a goal setting summary and the summary of this session. Let's bring today's session to a close with a consolidated summary of everything we have covered. The key components: expectancy, instrumentality, and the valences. Key questions: can I do it? Will I be rewarded? Do I want the reward? You can measure it on a scale 0 to 1, from impossible to a certain. Remember the three diagnostic questions every leader should ask when faced with the demotivated employees. Do they believe they can perform? If no, address expectancy. Do they believe performance will lead to a reward? If no, address instrumentality. Do they actually want the reward? If no, address them valences. Victor Vroom gave us something rare, a theory that is both intellectually rigorous and the practically human. It reminds us that the motivation is not a personality trait that some people have and other don't. It is a decision shaped by belief, trust, and desire. As a manager, as a leader or a teacher of any kind, your job is not to force efforts from people. It is to create the condition where effort feels rational, worthwhile, and meaningful. Build their confidence, earn their trust, know what they value. Do those three things, and motivation will follow. Thank you.